Star Trek: The Next Generation, Starfleet Academy, number 13. The Haunted Starship. Chapter 9. 2 hours of the afternoon watch had gone by, and Hassan still hadn't said a thing to Geordi that wasn't strictly related to their work. Geordi realized there was a great deal of tension, and that Hassan no longer wanted him to be there in engineering with him. He'd hoped that he and Hassan could become friends, but that seemed impossible now. They were sitting together at the main engineering console, but Geordi felt as if there were thousands of kilometers of cold, empty space between them. Geordi had been reluctant to bring up the subject with Hassan, but he could stand the silence no longer. "I need to talk to you," Geordi began. "About what?" Hassan said, not looking at him. "About what's going on here between us. I'd like to know what's bothering you." "Nothing is bothering me." Hassan kept working. "That's not true," Geordi said. "You've been acting as if I'm not really here. You tell me to do something, you ask me for a status report. All you're doing is pressing my buttons and getting me to do things for you. You're treating me like a thing, just like that console of yours. You're not dealing with me." "You're here, you're working with me. On any ship, that should be enough." "It's not nearly enough. I thought we were becoming friends." Hassan sighed. He seemed to slouch in his chair. He swiveled it so he could look directly at Geordi. "I thought so too," he said softly. "I would have liked to become your friend. You have been a good shipmate to us all, and I respect your considerable ability as an engineer." Geordi was puzzled. "Then what's the problem?" he asked. "If it's about what I saw last night, I'm the one who's going to have to face the consequences, not you." Hassan paused in careful thought. He clasped his hands together and leaned forward in his chair. "Do you know where I'm from, Geordi? What my background is?" Geordi shrugged. "I know that you're from Africa on Earth, that's all." "That's right," Hassan said. "I'm from northern Africa, though the desert country. We still follow many of the old customs. The only society we've ever needed is each other. We're wanderers by nature, Geordi. My people never settle down anywhere for very long. We prefer the freedom that constant movement gives us. Our elders say that nothing lasts except for us. Empires and republics have come and gone in our part of the world. Now there is a federation. And our elders say that when the federation is gone as well, our people will endure, only because we've chosen to remain apart." "But you're here, Hassan. In Starfleet, you haven't remained apart." "No," Hassan said. "I left my people. I chose to join the world. When I was a boy, Geordi, I would look up into the sky on our cold, clear desert nights and study the stars. I would dream of going out there among them. I was so cut off from the world that I was 11 years old before I learned that journeying to the stars was actually possible. So I packed my things and left my family and friends, and I've never seen any of them again. I traveled alone by foot for several weeks to the nearest city and got in touch with a Federation welfare agency. I told my story and declared my intentions, and the agency took care of me. Not very long after that, I applied for admission to the academy and was accepted. And so here we are." Geordi looked thoughtful. "You've given up a lot to be here, haven't you?" Hassan nodded. "I've given up everything I was once. I miss my people, I miss my family." Hassan gestured around the room. "But I would miss this even more, Geordi, if I were to lose it. I would never put my career at risk. It is everything I am now. I'd be nothing without it." "And you think you're putting your career at risk by even talking to me?" Hassan held up a hand. "No," he denied. "Not at all. That is not the problem." "Then what is it? If it's something I've said or done—" Hassan shook his head. "No, it is what I must do," he said. "Geordi, I too hoped we could have become friends and serve together again someday, perhaps aboard a ship of the line. but the Academy Review Board is certain to ask me as your supervisor my opinion of your sighting of the late captain. I will have to tell them that I believe you are asleep, hallucinating, or suffering from some mental disorder, because whatever you saw cannot possibly exist. My testimony will certainly help the review board justify separating you from the Academy. I cannot do a terrible thing like that to a friend, but I cannot lie to the review board either. I wouldn't want you to lie to the review board, Hassan. I know that. You are a person of character and integrity, Geordi. I truly wish things were different. So do I. I don't bear you any ill will. Geordi put out a hand, and after a moment Hassan shook it. Hassan turned back to his console. Everything seems fine here, he said, again not looking at Geordi. I believe I can handle both our responsibilities from here on out. If you desire, you may spend the rest of the watch in your quarters, catching up on your studying. Thank you, Geordi said. I believe I'll do that. Guess I'll see you later. Yes, Hassan said, keeping his eyes on his board. I will call you if I need you. Have a productive afternoon. Hassan heard the door behind him whoosh open and shut as Geordi left the room. When Geordi was gone, Hassan leaned forward and put his head in his hands. He felt sad and miserable. Hassan liked and respected Geordi. He did not want to be one of the people who would destroy his career, but he knew that was what would happen as soon as everyone got back to the academy. He sighed heavily and tried to lose himself in work. The next few hours blurred by as Hassan checked and rechecked every one of Ben's internal systems, tweaking the automatic controls as necessary. Hassan was so busy that he almost didn't catch the reflection in the glossy black surface of the overhead engineering display, but he did. Hassan whirled around in his seat and stood up abruptly, knocking over his chair. Captain Ikushima was standing there, right in front of him, plain as day. The captain was unsmiling, almost glowering. The only sound in the room was Hassan's sudden, heavy breathing. His eyes wide in fear and shock, Hassan watched as Ikushima slowly and silently raised an arm and pointed at him. Hassan thought that Ikushima was trying to give some sort of order or to tell him something important. "What is it?" Hassan managed to say. "What is it you want from me, Captain?" Ikushima said nothing. As Geordi had described the night before, Ikushima lowered his arm, stood silent and unmoving for a moment, and then faded away. Hassan fell back against the console, his knees wobbly. He felt weak and shaky. He bent to pick up his chair and sat down heavily. "What just happened?" Hassan had grown up on the legends of the desert, which frequently featured the sudden appearances of ghosts and demons. But all those stories are fiction. They were created only to give a little scare to children, weren't they? Hassan began to perspire in the cool room. What do I do now? Shall I report this? If he did, would he run the risk of being dismissed from the academy too, as Geordi was almost certain to be? What if they said Hassan had been influenced by Geordi? What if they decided Hassan was suffering from hallucinations too? Should Hassan risk his career, which was everything to him? Should he just say nothing? It was certainly tempting to stay quiet. A moment later, Hassan cursed himself for even considering doing anything like that. Geordi hadn't hesitated for a moment. Geordi had acted instantly and in the best interest of the ship. Hassan was ashamed of himself, but he could still do the right thing if he acted right away. Hassan stood and tapped his communicator. "Computer intruder alert," he snapped. "Engineering." Again, all the lights went red, and the alert signal began blaring throughout the ship. Geordi was at his study console, trying to concentrate on the material before him. Warp dynamics in an ion storm. He wasn't doing very well, though. He kept worrying about what would happen when he was called before the Academy Review Board to explain what had happened on Deck 2 the night before. Geordi had looked forward to going along on this mission for so long, and now it was turning out to be one of the worst things that had ever happened to him. He had wanted to do the best he could, to be a credit to his ship and his shipmates. Instead, he'd become an embarrassment to them all. He knew that all he could do now was tell the board what had happened to the best of his knowledge and ability and hope for the best. He knew he had a good record, including his performance under pressure when the Atlantis station was damaged. Maybe, just maybe, I'll only get an official reprimand in my file, or some sort of probation. However, he was expecting the worst. When the lights in his quarters suddenly went red and the alert began to blare, Geordi was startled. After a second, he realized what it could mean, and he grew excited. Someone else must have seen Captain Ikushima. Intruder alert, Sanchez said over the communicator link. This is not a drill. All hands to the bridge. After a pause, he added, especially you, LaForge. Chapter 10. All 5 members of Benjamin Franklin's crew quickly gathered on the bridge. You're sure of what you saw? Sanchez was asking Hassan as Geordi entered. You're absolutely sure? Yes, sir, Hassan replied forthrightly. It was exactly as Geordi had described. It was Captain Ikushima. I recognized him from Geordi's presentation yesterday. The captain appeared right behind me while I was sitting at the main engineering console. I turned in my chair and then stood up. The captain pointed at me, then dropped his arm, and after a moment disappeared into thin air. Sanchez nodded. Did he say anything this time? Nothing, sir, said Hassan. He didn't make a sound. Sanchez turned to Geordi. Does any of this sound familiar to you, LaForge? Yes, Captain, Geordi replied excitedly. From what Hassan is saying, exactly the same thing happened to me last night. Why would the ghost do exactly the same thing twice? Siobhan wondered. It seems useless. Is it even remotely possible that this ship could be haunted by the ghost of our first captain? Hassan asked. There are many strange things in space. We do not know everything there is to know. Look here, Sanchez said. For one thing, let's stop referring to whatever this is as a ghost. Whatever it is, it can't be a ghost. Ghosts don't exist. Perhaps it is an alien life form trying to communicate with us, Hassan said. Siobhan shook her head. If that's so, she said, then the alien life form is doing a terrible job of communicating. It says and does nothing except appear, point at somebody, and disappear. Not real effective. As odd as this is, Sanchez insisted, it has to be a natural phenomenon. There's no such things as ghosts. Trennick's face suddenly turned a shade of pale blue. If there's no such things as ghosts, sir, then what do you call that? She pointed behind the 4 others toward the engineering station. They turned around. Captain Ikushima was standing there. Siobhan gasped. Quiet down, everyone, Sanchez said, much more calmly than he felt. He rushed to the science station and quickly redirected all of Ben's internal sensors to that portion of the bridge where Ikushima was standing. If there's anything at all to be read from this thing, then the sensors will get it now, he told the others. And it's definitely not a ghost, guaranteed. Oh, Siobhan said. How come you're so sure? She and the others watched as Captain Ikushima slowly raised his arm and pointed at them all. I'll tell you in a moment, Sanchez replied. It's not a life form. I'm getting a very slight, very natural energy reading. Our ghost is actually a finely tuned transmission on a very narrow bandwidth. It's originating from somewhere within the belt. There, I've got it plotted. This is a projection? Siobhan asked. Then who's projecting it? I'm sending the trajectory I plotted to your navigation console. As for who's responsible for this, I intend for us to find out. Geordi, Hassan, is our friend here doing anything different from what he did before? No, sir, Geordi replied. He's acting exactly the same way. It's so, Captain, Hassan added. All right, Sanchez said. They all watched as Ikushima dropped his arm and, after a moment, faded away again. That's all, Geordi said. It's over for now. I hope it's over for good, Trennick added. It may be, Sanchez said. McKenna, put our chart of this section of the belt on the main screen. Overlay the coordinates I just sent to your console. Yes, sir. Siobhan worked quickly, and soon their newly minted map of the belt sprang up onto the screen. A slashing red line appeared over it, and a bright yellow dot blinked on and off in the upper left corner of the screen. The blinking dot was sitting on the red line. The trajectory you plotted is the red line, and it directly intersects an asteroid named 198763 Shiva, Siobhan reported. That's the blinker. Shiva's a big mama, too. One of the very few in this sector that was on Starfleet's charts before we got here. It was cataloged during a pretty sketchy NASA survey way back in the early 21st century. Now look at this. 3 bright green dots appeared along the red line Sanchez had plotted. Notice those green dots now, Siobhan continued. Ben has been crisscrossing this entire sector over and over again for almost 2 days, charting asteroids. Each green dot indicates a spot in space where Ben was when Captain Ikushima appeared, and each dot is sitting exactly on the red line. Interesting, Sanchez said as he returned to the command chair. I take this as confirmation that this ghost has been a message transmission of some sort. We'll try to find out what's going on when we arrive at Shiva. McKenna, get us there, half impulse. Aye, Captain. We'll arrive off Shiva in just under 3 minutes. Very good, Sanchez said. Son, you'll take the science station. El Dalal, you can handle engineering from the bridge. Sanchez continued. I want everyone to remain up here together. Of course, sir, Hassan acknowledged. Geordi, will you please join me over here? Geordi grinned. Yes, sir. Ah, Siobhan said. We seem to be one big happy family again. Good. You know, there's nothing like seeing a ghost to reunite you with your loved ones. It's not a ghost, McKenna, Sanchez reminded her. We've had more than enough talk of ghosts aboard this ship. What we're looking for is a signaling device of some kind. The ghost is actually a beacon intended to attract our attention. If someone's trying to send us a signal, Geordi said, then I guess we've finally gotten the message. Okay, time to ask. Siobhan said, Captain, how come you were so sure before that the beacon wasn't really a ghost? Logic can only take you so far, you know. Sanchez shrugged. Took me far enough. We all saw the beacon appear the 3rd time. Remember that Geordi and Hassan confirmed that it had acted exactly the same way during its first 2 appearances. That might seem strange unless you consider the obvious, that the ghost was actually a recording of some sort, on a continuous loop. Why was it Captain Ikushima, though? Geordi asked. Why not someone else? Maybe the device that sent the beacon got the image of Ikushima from your mind, Geordi. We have records of alien computers that can scan certain synapses and respond accordingly. Remember the shore leave planet? You just worked very hard to put together a presentation on the history of this ship. You'd been concentrating on the story of Captain Ikushima in particular. You were the first person to see the beacon, and you saw it appear as Ikushima. Afterward, everyone was talking about it nonstop. That's why everyone else saw the beacon as Ikushima, too. It's exactly who they expected to see. But why did we see a person at all? Why not hail us? Send a warning buoy? Geordi wondered. All that did was confuse and upset us. It got our attention, didn't it? Sanchez said, shrugging. The gimmick did its job. But there's something else, isn't there? Siobhan prompted. You were so sure of yourself, Captain. Sanchez nodded. I really don't believe in ghosts, Siobhan. But yes, there was another reason I was so sure, he said. The beacon appeared to the rest of you as Captain Ikushima because that was the strongest image in your minds at the time. But unlike the rest of you, I wasn't seeing Ikushima. He paused. I was seeing my father. Your father? Hassan asked, puzzled. Oh, Bernie, Siobhan said a little sadly. Of course. Sanchez addressed the others. As Siobhan already knows, my father was aboard the Enterprise C when she was lost at Narendra 3 10 years ago, he told them quietly. He's the reason why I've chosen a career in Starfleet and why I was so happy to get this command. My father has been the strongest image in my mind for the past 2 days because I've been thinking of him quite often during this mission. Of course, sir, Hassan said. Since we were seeing different people, Sanchez continued, it became clear to me that somehow our minds were being manipulated. That suggested we were being affected either by a living alien force or some kind of advanced technology. Since the beacon was repeating its actions exactly, I knew it had to be something like a recording that was being piped our way. For a few moments there was silence on the bridge, while each cadet turned the situation over in his or her mind. Which is worse, Geordi wondered, seeing the long-dead captain of the ship or the image of your father? Concerned as he'd been for his career, Geordi was sure things had been worse for Sanchez. We've just arrived off Shiva, Captain, Siobhan said. I'll put it on screen. The screen showed nothing but a big gray floating rock against the stars. It looked very much like all the other asteroids they'd seen over the past 2 days, only bigger. Sensor readings, San? Sanchez asked. I'm getting them, sir, Trennick replied from the science station. This asteroid is nothing but rock. There's no magnetic interference, so we'll have the transporter available to us this time if we need it. Keep looking, Sanchez prompted. There might... I found something else, Trennick interrupted the captain. Metal alloy, of a common type used by many different species. It's strong and durable and suitable for shipbuilding. It does seem to be a ship, sir. It's a very small one, but it's apparently intact. It's located just beneath the surface of Shiva, probably in a cave or similar structure, since I'm showing rocks surrounding it on 2 sides. I'm showing minimal power readings, too. That sounds like our baby, Siobhan said. Any life forms? Sanchez asked. No, sir, said Trennick. Nothing. Well, Hassan said excitedly, what are we waiting for? Sanchez laughed. Wait, what indeed? Geordi and Hassan, you're with me. Siobhan, bring us right up next to Shiva and hold her steady. We won't be using the transporter. We won't? Asked Geordi. No, said Sanchez. There's no reason to wait around for each of us to use the single transporter pad we've got. We'll just drift across a few meters from the suit-up room's outside airlock and touch down on Shiva's surface with our own 6 feet. Okay, let's go.